In this session, we'll be walking through the January 2021 Paper 1. Each sentence in this section has one underlined word. Choose the word that is closest to opposite in meaning to the underlined word. Number 1. The distinguished actor avoided the press whenever he was on holidays. The opposite of avoided is contacted. Number 2. The compassionate man was known by many in the crowd. Now, compassionate means kind, so the opposite of that is cruel. Number 3. As far as I am concerned, the lattice windows are the most conspicuous features on the building. Now, conspicuous means clearly visible or noticeable, and the opposite of that is insignificant. Number 4. It seems probable that the country will maintain the curfew for another week. If something is probable, then it's likely to happen. The opposite of that is unlikely. Number 5. Many teenagers and even some parents do not agree with the amount of restrictiveness in today's society. And the opposite of restrictiveness is permissiveness. In the following sentences, one of the underlined words may be misspelled. Choose from the 3 options A, B, or C the word that is misspelled. If no word is misspelled, choose option D. Number 6. I'm not going to read through the sentences. I'm just going to say the words that are underlined. In number 6, we have pleasure, information, and nutrition, and all 3 words are correctly spelled, so the answer there is D. Number 7, we have given, we have separate, and we have enough. And the word that is incorrectly spelled is separate. The correct spelling of that is separate. Number 8, the words are arguments, irate, and aggravate. And the incorrectly spelled word is aggravate. We need a double G, A-G-G-R-A-V-A-T-E. Number 9, superior, fallacy, and perpetuate. The answer is D because all those words are correctly spelled. Number 10, intelligence, height, and deciding. The incorrectly spelled word is height. And you probably have guessed it, the E needs to come before the I. So the correctly spelled word is H-E-I-G-H-T. Revise each of the following sentences according to the directions that follow it. Do not change the meaning of the original sentence. Look at the options A to D for the word or phrase that best suits your revised sentence. Question 11. The cricket match ended abruptly when many of the spectators stormed the field. Begin the sentence with many of the spectators stormed. So what we would have is many of the spectators stormed the field, so the cricket match ended abruptly. Number 12, people from crowded nations cannot get over the accessibility of Canada's natural environment in all its significance. Now we're to begin the sentence with, it is impossible for. So what we'd have is, it's impossible for people from crowded nations to get over the accessibility of Canada's natural environment in all its significance. Question 13. She found, even after she had made several attempts to regulate the sprinkler, that the water was still reaching the furniture on the veranda. Now this is a bit of a tricky one, because the only way we can make a sentence starting with it is impossible for, and for it to make sense, is if we put a comma after the word impossible there. So I've done that for you. So now our sentence, or revised sentence would read, it is impossible For she had found that, even after she had made several attempts to regulate the sprinkler, that the water was still reaching the furniture on the veranda. Question 14. It is going to be all right, Mom assured me. And we're to begin the sentence with Mom assured me that. So we'll have Mom assured me that it was going to be all right. Number 15. These students are hardworking as well as respectful. Begin the sentence with not only. Not only are these students hardworking, but they are also respectful. Some of the following sentences are unacceptable because of inappropriate grammar, idiom, or vocabulary. Some sentences are acceptable as they stand. Now your job is to select one underlined part that is inappropriate and choose either letters A, B, or C. If the sentence is acceptable, then you choose D. Number 16. Mary, will you please fill up the bucket before the water supply is cut off? Now the inappropriate element here is full up. What we should have is Mary, will you please fill the buckets? Question 17. Julie prefers to lie in bed, not wanting to go to school nor does any work. The incorrect part is, or the incorrect word is does. What we should have is Julie prefers to lie in bed, not wanting to go to school nor do any work. Number 18. He shared the sweets among you and me. The error is at B. What we needed to have said is he shared the sweets between you and me. We use among only if we're referring to more than 2 items or more than 2 people. Number 19. Peter have dengue and feels weak, so he's unable to participate in the inter-school games. The error is at A. We need the singular form of have, which is has, because we're talking about only one person. Okay, so we need the singular form has. Number 20. 2 more students entered the competition. Only one of them was good enough to reach the quarterfinals. And our error is at A. Now we're talking about the students, so we don't use much. We need to use the word many. We use many if something is quantifiable, and we can count the students. Much is used when something is not, the noun is not quantifiable, such as water. So we say much water or much dirt. We can't count them, so we say much instead of many. Each sentence has one word missing. Choose from the 4 options the word which best complete the meaning of the sentence. Number 21. There are many who would try to blank your efforts because of their jealousy. And the word I'm going to choose is thwart. Thwart means to prevent somebody from accomplishing something. So a sentence would be, there are many who would try to thwart your efforts because of their jealousy. Number 22. Most parents do not blank indiscipline from their children. The most sensible word here is tolerate. So most parents do not tolerate indiscipline from their children. Number 23. The clerk was granted a promotion because she was A. Indolent, B. Agreeable, C. Negligent, or D. Industrious. And we're going to be going for D. Industrious. Industrious means diligent and hardworking. Number 24. The debate on the best way to enter the free trade agreement had not yet been blank. And we're going to go for resolved. It has not yet been resolved. That means it hasn't been settled or they haven't found a solution. Number 25, the lawyer gave his client some good blank about taxes, and we're going to choose advice because it makes sense. We have come to our comprehension section, and we start off with a poem called Beat That Light. I think the horses must be laughing, kicking up their heels and chaffing, watching from their green abode the things that drove them off the road, whinnying in soft derision at breakdown, blowout and collision, neighing as they roam the prairies, motorists' obituaries. Read the epitaphs on Monday of drivers various, and Sunday beep the horn and howl the klaxon for Hebrew, Latin and Anglo-Saxon. Howling klaxon, beeping horn, the funeral dirge on Monday morn. Usher out the unlucky drivers without convincing the survivors. Here's a curve and here's a truck. Take a chance and trust to luck. The next one's practically standing still. Right, so that's the end of the poem, and we have a mini glossary here with a couple words. The first one is epitaph, which means a short piece of writing or poem about a dead person. And we also have klaxon, which might be unfamiliar. It means a type of loud horn formerly used on motor vehicle. Question 26. Why does the poet feel the horses are laughing? Line 1. Let's check it out. I think the horses must be laughing. Is it A, he hears them laughing? Is it B, the prairie is all theirs to roam? C, they're treated well by their owners? Or D, they were replaced with something which causes harm? And the answer is D, they were replaced with something which causes harm. Remember, before the vehicles, it was the horses who were taking people around, at least those who could afford them. Now they're in their green fields, watching what's happening on the roads and all the accidents, and basically saying, serve you right, look what you've replaced me with. That's what the poet is imagining anyway. Number 27. What are the things suggested in line 4? It says the things that drove them off the road, and we've kind of established already that those are the vehicles that have driven the horses off the road, replaced them. Question 28. Which of the following words suggests the driver's destiny? Is it whinnying, breakdown, obituaries, or howling? And the answer is C, obituaries. An obituary is the notice of a person's death, right? Or a funeral announcement, usually in like the newspaper or on the radio. Question 29. According to the poet, which day seems to be the most prone to fatalities? And I'm going to choose Sundays, and I'll tell you why. Now, it talks about all the different things that are being done on Sunday. That's when the drivers are out on the road. It talks about drivers various on Sundays, beep the horn, howl the klaxon for Hebrew, Latin, and Anglo-Saxon. Basically, they're on the road, they're crazy, they're noisy. And then for Monday, what does it talk about on Monday? It talks about reading the epitaphs. Okay, the epitaphs is a writing about a dead person, like on the grave. So we're reading the epitaphs on Monday. It also talks about the funeral dirge on Monday morn. So if there's a funeral on Monday morning, by the way, the dirge is like a funeral hymn that's happening on Monday morning. So the deaths must have taken place on Sunday. Question 30. What is the poet's tone in lines 17 and 18? Is it sarcastic, persuasive, indifferent, or enthusiastic? Let's see. Here's a curve and here's a truck. Take a chance and trust to luck. He's talking to the drivers, and there's definitely quite a lot of sarcasm in that. So we'll go for A, sarcastic. Question 31. What is the poet recommending that drivers do? Is it to drive slowly, quickly, carefully, or recklessly? And I have chosen carefully because amidst all of the sarcasm, amidst all of the pun, what he's trying to do is to say you need to drive more carefully on the road. Question 32. What is the poet referring to in lines 9 and 10? Let's see. Read the epithets on Monday of drivers various and Sunday. And we know that epithets are write-ups about a dead person. So basically, it's the death announcements. Question 33. Which of the following means nearly the same as the title of the poem, which is Beat That Light? Now, when we talk about somebody trying to beat a light, it's a driver trying to go through the stoplight before it changes. So obviously, you're going to have to speed up, right? So let's go for drive faster. Let's read the next extract to answer questions 34 to 40. Don't take it to heart, shark. Life's got plenty lessons to teach you yet, partner. This bush does reduce you to an animal, and then you got to fight your way back to prove you're a man. You better get moving, and don't let sundown catch you before you reach Nameless River. I left half of my supplies with Beulah and tonic, poured boiling water into the barrel of my rifle, tested the action of the bolt, and set out. I knew Beulah and tonic were watching me, but I didn't look back. I walked quickly, feeling my prospecting knife slapping against my thigh. The forest darkened, and my footsteps sounded loud under the trees. I wasn't afraid of the animals or snakes, and for the first time, I felt certain that I would overtake my uncle and Santos. The only fear I knew was for the thing I was about to do with no witness but God and the forest trees. But this fear was remote as I swung downhill. The sense of being alone filled me with a particular gladness. I looked up at the sun and quickened my pace. I saw a nameless river from a hilltop. The molasses black stream flowed by 100 yards away. For a long time, I stood still, watching every movement below and scanning the far bank of the river. I descended stealthily until I came to a moro tree which leaned over the river. I hid my balata pouch between the roots and crouched down to wait. Question 34. The expression, "this bush does reduce you to an animal," implies that shark would A. Eat like an animal, B. Walk on all fours like an animal, C. Be forced to adopt the instincts of an animal, D. Hunt for prey like an animal for survival. And we will go for C. Be forced to adopt the instincts of an animal. 35. The advice given to Shark in the first sentence was meant to do what? Or to warn him that. Let's look at the advice. Life's got plenty lessons to teach you yet, partner. And the answer is D. It means that there were things that he did not yet know about life. Question 36. The forest darkened suggests that A. Sun had set by this time, B. Trees leaned over the river, C. Sun made trees create shadows, or D. Trees were blocking out the sunlight. Let's see. It says the forest darkened and my footsteps sounded loud under the tall trees. So they were tall trees. So it could be that the trees were kind of like so clustered together and so tall that the sunlight wasn't coming through. right? And that's why it made it darker. It's tempted to say the sun had set by that time, but if you check further down, it actually said I looked up at the sun, so we know it's not the sun. It's not that the sun had set, the sun was still there, so we'll go for D, which is that the trees were blocking out the sunlight. Question 37. The phrase molasses black describes what? And we're going to go straight for A, the color of the water. Question 38. The conclusion we may draw about Shark scanning the far bank is that he was A, glimpsing the bank, B, examining carefully, C, peering through the bushes, or D, looking at the trees nearby. It says, I stood still, watching every movement below and scanning the far bank of the river. Scanning in this sense is to inspect or examine closely, so we'll go with B, examining carefully. Question 39. Scanning the far bank, descended stealthily, hid my balata pouch, crouched down, shows that Shark is it A, looking for a friend, B, expecting an attack from animals, C, expecting someone who was not a friend, or D, searching for a place to set up camp? And the answer is C, expecting someone who is not a friend. Question 40. Based on the extract, the only feeling Shark did not experience was A, fear, B, aloneness, C, anticipation, D, satisfaction. Let's see. We know that he had fear because he said the only fear I knew was for the thing I was about to do, so there was fear. We know that he was feeling alone because he said the sense of being alone filled me with a particular gladness. And we know that there was some anticipation. To anticipate is to wait eagerly for something or someone. Okay? And it says that he crouched down to wait. The only one we can't see there is satisfaction. There's no proof, anything that said that he was satisfied. Let's read through our next passage. Industrialization has created a new set of intangible threats to health. They have presented themselves in socially accepted forms. The socially acquired glamour of cigarette smoking, the pleasure of alcohol, and the spurious release gained through drugs have resulted in many cases of heart disease, cancer, and debility. Since many developing countries are succumbing to the same habits and dependence, they lay themselves open to the same diseases. One can work by one rough rule of thumb, says Dr. H. Ansluoka, chief statistician of WHO's Global Epidemiological Surveillance and Health Situation Assessment. Once a country achieves a life expectancy at birth of 60 years, cancer rapidly moves up in the ranking of health problems and causes of death. We now need to work hard and determinedly to implement decisions on lifestyle change. These will depend on two aspects: the personal choices made and the choices that are only possible if national policies and health strategies break new ground. Nothing illustrates these aspects more succinctly than smoking. About a quarter of all cigarette smokers are killed before their time by tobacco. Most would have lived on for another 5 to 30 years, the average being an extra 10 to 15 years. If they stopped smoking before they developed cancer or heart or lung diseases, they could have averted the risk of dying from tobacco. Government policies can strengthen individual choice and prevent the growth of the smoking habit. Restrictions on advertising, and promoting cigarettes will reduce incentives to smoke. Raising the cost of cigarettes lowers consumption. Health education should promote a way of life free of smoking. This is particularly necessary in developing countries where there is generally minimal control on the promotion and sale of cigarettes. Developing countries can ill afford the enormous burden of tobacco-related illnesses on health resources, which are already overstretched. Governments may be collecting taxes and buying jobs in the growing of tobacco and the manufacture of cigarettes, but this is a cost of expensive long-term medical care and inhuman suffering and premature death. Some causes of ill health can be removed by political action and financial investment, but some brought about by the way people live can be removed by people deciding to change their way of living. Question 41. According to paragraph 1, deaths from heart disease, cancer and debility are on the increase because of A. The dangers posed by modern living, B. Growing substance abuse in today's society, C. Traditional lifestyles in developing countries, D. Longer life expectancy in recent years. And right at the beginning in the first sentence we see industrialization has created a new set of intangible threats to health. And the last sentence of the paragraph concludes that this has resulted in many cases of heart disease, cancer, and debility. So we'll go for A, the dangers posed by modern living. Question 42. The words succumbing and dependence in lines 5 and 6 imply that the habits of cigarette smoking, alcohol, and drug use are A. They inhibit development, B. Are created by the users, C. Give rise to a state of numbness, or D. Have an overpowering effect on people. Now, succumb means to give way to a superior force, and to depend on it means that there's a heavy reliance on it, dependence. So we'll go for D, have an overpowering effect on people. Question 43. The writer feels that deaths from cigarette smoking can best be minimized if A. Countries initiate health programs, B. Governments institute new policies, C. Individuals simplify their lifestyles in the area of health, or D. Individuals make more personal choices about health programs. And the answer to that is B. Governments institute new policies. Question 44. From paragraphs 1 and 2, we may deduce that cancer is A. on the increase in developing countries, B. caused by excessive alcohol, drug, and cigarette use, C. more likely to cause the death of people under 60 years of age, or D. one major drawback to health programs in developing countries. And we have evidence here that cancer is caused by excessive alcohol, drug, and cigarette use. So we're going to go ahead and click B as our answer. It's easy to think that it could be A, on the increase in developing countries, but it did not say it was increasing in developing countries. It actually says that because they're succumbing to these habits and dependence, these developing countries lay themselves open to the same diseases. But it didn't actually say that it is on the increase. Question 45. In the extract, it is suggested that one reason people smoke is because cigarette smoking is fashionable in modern society, provides governments with needed revenue, provides release and relaxation for individuals, or is promoted by numerous advertisements. And we see here where it says that people had acquired the glamour of cigarette smoking, and that's why we're going to choose A. It's fashionable in modern society. Question 46. In the last paragraph, which of the following is not suggested as a way in which dangers to health can be reduced? Individuals altering patterns of living, allocating funds adequately to policies, governments implementing new policies, or politicians becoming more responsible. Let's see what evidence we have here. Political action, so that has to do with policies, financial investment, and also people deciding to change their way of living. So we're going to go for D, politicians becoming more responsible. We weren't told that. We're on to our next extract. He's the man. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the candidate for Dimmsville. He is the man who will make all your dreams come true. He is the man who will fulfill all your wishes. He is the man who will stand by you through thick and thin. Our opponents say that he comes from a foreign country and he's not one of you. I must thank them for their kind comments, because that is just what you need. His exposure to the developed world. He is equipped with the best ideas that will create opportunities for you. Don't you need steady jobs? And how about a school like that which the other areas have? Yes, my friends, you need to live like valued citizens, not like oppressed slaves in endless destitution. Your lives are not a journey into the promised land. You wander in vast wilderness where hostile forces of humanity hound you with relentless cruelty. Your daily bread is sickness and worry, hunger and disease. Your hovels are dens of misery filled with empty hopes and despair. Have you considered the future of your children? Look at this man, the man who will make your dreams come true, the man who will give you your wishes, the man who cares enough to come to your village. Question 47. The purpose of a speech is to introduce a new product, find out the needs of the audience, condemn the efforts of the opponents, and D is a repeat of C, so we'll go for C, condemn the efforts of the opponents. Question 48, that was 47, 48. The speech was most likely given at a board meeting, business meeting, political meeting, or church meeting. And of course the answer is C, a political meeting. Question 49. The speaker addresses the audience as you in order to present himself to the audience, distance himself from the audience, accuse the audience of failing in their duty, or make the audience feel he cares about them. And the answer is B, distance himself from the audience. Question 50. The speaker suggests that because the candidate comes from a foreign country, he will A, not appreciate them, B, leave them at any time, C, be an advantage to them, or D, not represent them at all. And the only logical answer there is C, be an advantage to them. Question 51. When the speaker says, you need to live like valued citizens, he attempts to A, change the villagers' way of life, B, make the villagers feel good about themselves, C, make the villagers feel they are treated well by their representatives, D, change the villagers' views of their lives so they choose his candidate. And the answer is D. Change the villagers' views of their lives so that they choose his candidate. Question 52. The name Dimsville is suitable for the village because A. It is an important name. B. There is no electricity in the village. C. It is named after someone who used to live there. Or D. Villagers feel hopeless because they lack basic amenities. And we'll go for D. Question 53. In paragraph 1, the speaker repeats the words, "He is the man," because he wants to present the candidate, emphasize the power the candidate possesses, impress upon the audience that he's offering them the best person for the job, inform the villagers that they need a man and not a woman to represent them. And the answer, of course, is C. Impress upon the audience that he's offering them the best person for the job. Question 54. Which of the following devices is not used in the speech? A. Pun, and that's the one we'll select because a pun is a type of humor and we didn't see any of that there. Metaphor we saw, such as your bread is sickness. We've seen repetition, like of the sentence, he's the man. We've seen rhetorical questions, such as, don't you want steady jobs? The next extract is an advert or a flyer for a symposium. I am not going to be going through all the details, so I advise that you stop the video at this point and take a closer look at it. Question 55. According to the information provided, the main theme of the symposium is youth, drug abuse, adolescent health, sexually transmitted diseases, and as we can see, the topic is adolescent health. Question 56. Which of the following groups is not a sponsor of the symposium? Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Health, Conference of Churches, National Council on Drug Abuse. And we can see Ministry of Health, there's National Council on Drug Abuse, there's Conference of Churches, but we can't see the Ministry of Health, so that's the one we'll go for. Question 57. Which of the following words can best replace symposium in the advertisement? Is it exhibition, conference, discussion, or conversation? And the answer is conference. Question 58. All of the following groups are specifically invited to attend the symposium except, let's see. Right, interested members of the public were invited, members of youth groups were invited, and so were healthcare professionals. So the only one in our list that were not specifically invited were parents of young people. Question 59. How can those who want to participate register for the event? And we have to attend. You should contact, there's a Yvonne Dalton at the Ministry of Youth, and there's also a phone number. So we'll go for B, which is call the Ministry of Youth and speak to Yvonne Dalton. And we're down to the final question, question 60. The main address is to be delivered by, and if you look at the bottom left, you'll see feature address by Bukawela Tudor. So there, it's highlighted. And so it's A, Bukawela Tudor. He's the